Hello and welcome to this brief political update from the other side. For those who have been watching Nigerian news, yesterday was indeed an earthquake, an event that many people have underestimated the implication of. What is the event? The Independent National Electoral Commission in a statement said that it will no longer recognize or accept correspondences from either the David Mark-led African Democratic Congress, ADC, or that of Nafiu Bala, following its review of the Court of Appeal judgment on March 12 this year. A statement signed by the Chairman, Information and Voter Education, Mohammed Kudu, of the INEC, also noted that the Commission will no longer engage with either faction or monitor their meetings, congresses, or conventions until the matter at the Federal High Court is decided. Effectively, INEC is saying that the ADC can no longer be a viable vehicle for the 2027 election. My name is Rimamnde Shawulu. This is your update from the other side. And of course, according to the statement, the INEC said it was going to remove and may have already removed the names of David Mark from the INEC portal. And for those who know the story, Nafiu Bala, who was the vice chairman of the ADC before the David Mark-led caretaker committee assumed control of the party, approached the court to challenge the emergence of David Mark and his colleagues at the National Working Committee. This event did not come just by error. It is not and indeed several people had left the ADC not long ago because they were afraid that this would come. And the implications of this are grave for the ADC and those who may have been wishing they will contest elections on the platform of the party. First, it is obvious that this decision not to recognize the party has been pushed down the line to the courts. As far as the INEC is concerned, the Federal High Court, which is the court of the first instance that will take a decision which INEC might recognize. After the Federal High Court, which is the court of first instance, the case will move up to the Court of Appeal and possibly the Supreme Court, by which time, the time as allowed by the Electoral Act for the congresses of the parties and selection of candidates to contest the 20 elections would have passed. Well, let's look at another scenario. Assume that the party decides that it is going to go ahead in spite of this lack of recognitions and the fact that the INEC will not witness its congresses and conventions. The implications of that simply is that whatever happens in those conventions will be, as the practice in Nigeria has been, just jamborees, not recognized by law, because Nigerian politicians have ceded the powers to organize their parties to the government or to the INEC, and which is why the National Assembly itself, for several years now, the National Assembly has decided and has continuously written rules for parties which should be self-governing. And so, as far as the practices of the parties are concerned, whether they are party A or B, the manner and mode for selecting candidates to run elections are the same. So you may not even know the difference between the parties if it is based on the way they are organized. And the National Assembly has been, over the years, not just in this season, been writing rules of how parties are organized. As far as the National Assembly is concerned, political parties are babies which should be spoon-fed. Political parties will be told how to conduct their elections, how to select their members, who can vote in the elections and who should not vote in the elections, to select candidates to run elections in Nigeria. But that's just one part of the dilemma that we have. And for the ADC, of course, it is a very sad day for the hundreds, thousands, and even millions of people who have been mobilized across the states to register on the platform of the party. Monies were contributed by politicians in the party. Committees were set up to do registration, and there have been widespread registration of members across the country because people were increasingly seeing it as the alternative to the APC. because the former ruling party had almost killed itself. Nearly all the governors elected on the platform of the People's Democratic Party have all decamped to the APC, leaving only the governors of Oyo State and the governor of Bauchi State, who themselves, a few days ago, went to meet with the ADC officials, and they were hoping that they would join the ADC. But now they may have discovered, as at yesterday, that even the ADC will not be available. Of course, there are some optimists who will insist that the ADC is viable and will continue to work, but the uncertainty that has come about as a result of this decision will make many people, large number of people across the states, to move away from the ADC and use the 2 weeks left for preparations to register as members in other political parties to contest election for those who think that they still have a chance in winning the elections. But really, what is the implication of what has happened to Nigeria? The fact of the matter is that even if the ADC goes to court, or there is a reversal of this decision by INEC in the next 1 week or so, the ADC is unlikely to come back from it because it will have lost the momentum. And contestants who were disappointed by the APC and wanted to contest elections, including several senators and members of the National Assembly, who only last week decamped into the ADC, will now be confused as to what they should do. But the biggest loser in all this, the biggest losers in the announcement by INEC are actually the former presidential candidates of the People's Democratic Party, that is former Vice President Atiku and Governor Peter Obi, the former presidential candidate of the Labour Party, who between them had much more votes than the votes that President Bala Tinubu got in the 2023 elections. And the fact of the matter is that, particularly for the Vice President Atiku Abubakar and even Peter Obi, it is very unlikely that should they move to another party, the hold that they have had over the ADC may not exist. So theoretically speaking, for Vice President Atiku Abubakar, this may have signaled actually the end of his current political ambition, because it's unlikely that you have in the next few weeks a party with so much members and so much enthusiasm that is tailored towards the ambition of one person. And so in my estimation, I may be wrong, is that Vice President Atiku Abubakar may have just lost out of the whole process of running and winning the next election. Of course, there is the possibility that the members of this party and their leadership, who are reportedly holding so many meetings, will be able to move to another party together as a group and work. But whichever party they go into, a party that is already registered, they may have to negotiate with the people in those parties. And it's very unlikely that should they move to another party, that they will be allowed to produce the National Working Committee members of the new political party. So another set of people who may eventually have lost out will be the former two-time and the only two-time Senate President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator David Mark, former military governor of Niger State, former Minister of Communications under the military government, as well as the former governor of Osun State, Rauf Aregbesola, may have lost out, because even if they go to another party, it's unlikely that they will still go ahead with the model of changing the party leadership and taking over. They may just have to work with whatever party they move into. That is if they move together in bulk. And then we also have the fact that there will be beneficiaries, and the major beneficiaries of this decision might be the People's Democratic Party. That is the group that is recognized by the National Electoral Commission since the governance of Oyo and the current chairman of the Forum of PDP governors have been discussing with APC and later ADC. It is unlikely that any person leaving the ADC now will want to go to that faction of the PDP that they control. The most likely thing that will happen is that people may go to the PDP recognized by INEC. That means that the PDP may actually, and of course, there are already several members from the APC in the National Assembly who are moving to the PDP now because they have been denied the tickets of the APC. So we are likely going to have a situation where the ranks of the PDP will swell, and of course, its legitimacy may be restored from the implosion or the destruction, whatever phrase you want to use. Another big loser in this game will be the INEC. The view out there is that the INEC is working on the directive of the president, and it is unlikely that this image that INEC has now will be changed anytime soon, not before the next election. So we are going to an election which arguably people believe or argue has already been maneuvered by the umpire to favor the ruling party. Of course, as expected, Nigerians are very angry with what has happened, but whether the INEC chairman or the commission changes the decision in the next 1 week or so, or whether the Federal High Court fast tracks the hearing of the case and makes a determination. The fact of the matter is that this appears to be a defining moment for the 2027 elections. My name is Rimamnde Shawulu. This is your update from the other side. Are you enjoying our content? Click on that subscription and the notification button so that whenever there is any new update, we'll get to you. Don't forget that Nigeria's political environment is changing, and we have seen a major shift, a major change, which will define the next election.